Episode 9 of God Eater really surprised me because to me, I felt that this right here was like probably the best episode by far. And that right there was not only because we learned, a lot more about one of my favorites who is Souma, but to me, this episode was like really strong. And of course, it's like a major plus that this series is not over yet because it will return, during the winter season, who we all know takes place in January of next year. So we don't have that much long to wait. And the fact that they ended off on such a strong episode, to me at least, it definitely, helps hold me over to the series comeback for episode 10 or 13. But this episode, to me, like I said, it was like very good, very strong because we see Lindow here get some pretty good character development, and we also learn more about Souma as well. But the episode itself, it picks up from last week where we have Lindow finding out he does not have that much time to live. At most, he has 3 years, but we see that scientist, he's actually giving Lindow a choice whether he can, retire now and live those 3 years. But of course he cannot live, he cannot leave, Finward, because once you put on that bracelet or whatever, that right there pretty much binds him for life. Or what he can do, he can actually restore his guard arc, and Souma can continue to fight, and even though that right there would help benefit humanity, at the same time it would like shorten his lifespan more and more. And so right now he must make a very difficult decision. And we see now that after Lindow and the doctor were done talking, we see now that Lindow, he actually got caught on camera being inside the Aegis base. And so right now we have Johan actually planning on getting rid of him. But not only that, we learn now that Lindow here, he is not the only one that's like very compatible with the Oracle Cell, and we learn Souma it's kind of like Lindow, but at the same time he's not, because at least Souma is not going to die, even though he is so compatible with the cell. But we see now that in a flashback, and I am so glad that they finally include these, mixed it into the episode, and not, and not at the end. And we see now that after these black spikes, were like rising from the ground, we learn now that they were like staying away from certain buildings that had like these yellowish orange glowing tubes on them. And we learn now that this right here, it was the same material that the Oracle Cell was like staying away from during their testing period, because we did see that. And we learn now whoever was in charge of Finward, whoever was in charge back then, they had somehow, they had somehow thought this might happen, and have put it in advance. So that where they go to show you that, like, even though all this info was like already told to like higher ups, they did not feel that it was a need to protect all of humanity, and that was just definitely, somewhat messed up. And we see now that, Johan, he was thinking that is it possible to convert this stuff into a weapon, because right now humanity, they will definitely need some way to actually, defend themselves against the origami. And so we see at first they have put that into guns, and it was working. But once again, these origami, they're like constantly evolving, and it seemed like this right here was actually not the first time a weapon, that was like once working, became ineffective against them. And so right now we have the scientist with the glasses. He was thinking that, if it would be possible to actually, infuse this cell with people, and that way, that right there could be, their next step. Now, I believe they call this like a bias incline, something like that. But we see now that like Souma here, because we do learn that Souma actually is the son of Johan and that female scientist who like with them back in the day. And so we see now that she actually volunteered her own child for this. And so right now we see that when someone was born, he was actually, extremely compatible with the Oracle cell, which is definitely a good thing. But we see now that when he had a guard arc, he was definitely a bit too powerful, because that reaction, especially at a young age, and we saw the aftermath of like his first testing with it, and we see now that this lab, in one area it was like pretty messed up, and you have these scientists pretty much buried, by their equipment. And not only that, they were like calling Souma a monster, and that right there, something he hates, as that right there was like a nightmare for him, and he actually woke up. But now going back to Linka, actually, he was now being, filled in on the mission about getting these devices set up. And so right now he learns that like Souma will be a part of his team. But when he had left the room, and we have two others, coming out there talking to him, they felt bad, because, he would be teamed up with the Shinigami. And so right now, obviously, he was now becoming interested in someone, because why in the world would they call him that? Because to him, that right there seems, very odd. And so, of course, now he actually, wanted to learn more about Souma, and when he had went back to that scientist, because right now he had a mission to do, even though he did not have his guard arc, we see now that scientist could at least make it into a ship for him to use, so that way he can actually defend himself, but at the same time he could not really fight. And so right now he actually wants to learn more about Souma. But to do that, that scientist just told him to go look it up for himself. But he did say that like these two are like kind of similar, and we see now that when when Linka did look it up, we do learn that when someone was born, he actually did kill his mother, from birth, and that right there definitely got to be hard. And now we see that when Johan and someone were like on the elevator, Johan was like, I hear you have a mission, with the new type. He is very precious. Don't kill him. He is like very cold to his own son, and that right there is like very messed up. But I'm imagining that that Johan is that way because he loved it. He loved that woman so much, and even though that right there is his son, he did kill he did kill the woman that he loved. But now going on to onto that chopper scene, we have these three men who were definitely not god eaters. They were like normals, which is kind of funny because that right there is a gangster term from another show that I reviewed this season. But these normals, even though they were not scared, they were actually nervous because, they heard that when people are around someone, they die. And to me, I do wish that like maybe, Souma or Linka would like threw them off, because that right there, which is so distasteful, especially to like say that when Souma is like right there in their presence. But Souma actually, along with it saying that if you don't want to die, stay away from me. And so right now, also there was a scene with the with the mayor, with the major and Linka. And we have Linka asking her why did she step down being a god eater, and we learn now, for some, pretty much she saw an origami being born, and that right there, made her realize that the origami they actually can not be wiped out, and so she felt like it was like pointless to fight them, which is why she stepped down. And so I was like wondering, why in the world would that cause her, to step down? But we see it on an episode, what she mean by that. And so right now, after they all had set up this device, so that way they can see if it'll work. We saw origami, being born for the first time, and we see them now popping up like mole rats, and eventually they were all like attracted to this wall. No, even before that, we have this like group of origami appearing, and we see now that they were targeting Souma, and so we see now that like Souma here, he has an attack that's like very similar to an Jessica Tensho from Bleach. And when he used that, I gotta say, I got a bit hyped because that right there was like some pretty good animation. I would definitely dig in that attack. But we see that after they had set up that device and we saw origami being born for the first time, we have them now pushing back, that wall. And so eventually now it definitely was not looking good for them. And so right now, Souma here, he had no choice and he actually jumped down now. And we see him, attacking these origami. But of course, this like mob would be too much for one person, even though he's like very skilled. And we see that Linka here, he actually wanted to go back, but those other men were like kind of against it. And so right now, Souma at one point was like on his own, but eventually Linka, who like definitely in charge, he actually went down there and had like touched the device, which I'm guessing got their attention. And once again, they were like pushing in the wall, and we have Souma, who was kind of scared, but at the same time not really, because he was like more worried about what would happen if like Linka got hurt, because he was telling him to use that attack, but Souma was like scared that if he did use it, there was a good chance he could kill Linka. But obviously that right there was not the case, because eventually when like Linka was like able to convince him and used it, we actually saw, Linka take no real damage, because his shield, that shield actually held up pretty well. But now we see that, afterwards he did pass out, and it seemed that a lot of hours passed now, because when Linka eventually came to, it was now nighttime, and we see that the origami who were like once killed, even though their cores would be, removed, they would still be reborn, because that old oracle cell inside them, it would just collect once again, and that right there would give birth to another, origami. So that's why the major had retired, because she was so to happen, plenty of times, which is why, she eventually gave up. But it's definitely nice how Linka, feels somewhat, connected to Souma now, and we see them now, having this bond of friendship, now being born, as when like Linka was like struggling to actually get up. We have Souma give him a hand, saying, I didn't die, so you can't either. And we see now that Linka condition, it is now getting worse. As you can see, the oracle cell, it is now eating away at his arm, and it's now taking it over. And so now going back to the lab now, we have Linka here giving that scientist his choice, and now Linka will actually continue to fight. And so we see that when that doctor was like working on it, we had that other girl who knows about his condition. Apparently that doctor is making some very, very special changes to Linka's oracle cell, and right now no one else can know about this, which is why Linka's secret will now be will now be known by that scientist, that girl, and obviously Souma, because there is no way he did not see his arm like that. And so now we see that Alisa, this poor girl, is now being brainwashed by the guy she supposed to actually trust. As we see that doctor, right now, somehow, she's like in some kind of like zombified state, and we have that doctor showing her like these pictures, and so eventually now she was like showing him that black origami that like killed her parents, but then he showed a picture of a Lindow, saying that right there was an enemy. And to me, I'm like, that right there gonna be so messed up, where we have Alisa like trying to kill Lindow, because obviously Johan definitely wants to like shut him up for seeing what he saw in that place, but using Alisa for that, to me, that right there is like so freaking cruel. But overall, like I said, to me, this right here was the best God Eater episode by far. I liked it, and right now I'm definitely hyped for episode 10 and 13, because if they can actually, you know, continue this pattern, then God Eater should end on a very, very high note. But of course, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And what was the name? Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I just wanted to re-record my ending to my God Eater review, because I felt the first one I started going on for a little bit too long. But I will keep this one, you know, a lot shorter. But let me know how you guys feel about the anime comeback, you know, next year. And let me know how you guys feel about the ending as well. And please do not forget to like and subscribe, because it helps me out. And as always, you guys take it easy. I will see you all next time.